Thank you everyone for joining us. This is our second, yay, employment committee for the DD Brooklyn Council. Um, we're a new committee, and Jahaira Gonzalez, Vice President of Day Services. I have the honor and to host as co-chair, along with Jillian LeBron. Jillian, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jillian LeBron. I am a program manager QA supervisor at Goodwill Supported Employment. I have about 27 years in the field, and supported employment is like my passion. So started it, 20 something years ago. I'm not gonna say my age, but never left.
Um, so if anyone wants to introduce themselves while we're here, let's take a couple of minutes. So our guest speaker who's going to be presenting today has an idea of who are the people in the room, and could really tailor the message of what he's going to be presenting today to kind of our interest. So if you want to go ahead, Rachel, and then we'll work our way around.
Hi, Rochelle Kibanowski. I am the Family Vice Chair of the Brooklyn DD Council, and I have a 40-year-old son with autism, and I am very personally interested in exploring employment opportunities with him, but in general, I know this is a very big issue for families and individuals.
Anyone else, feel free to hop on. And sorry, Rochelle, about the name. I'm so sorry.
How about we throw the ball to Crystal?
Sure. I'm Crystal Persida Sapienza. I'm the Director of Provider Relations for the Brooklyn Queens region at ACA-NY. So I'm just here to see of how ACA can be of support to everyone. I know like employment is something that's very important to members, and just ways that we can work collaboratively together.
So from Crystal, can we hop on to Ramona?
Yes, from Brooklyn Community Services. I oversee the employment support at our agency and looking forward to this presentation.
Welcome. Kim?
Good afternoon. You can hear me? Okay. I'm Kim Walker. I'm an employment specialist at Brooklyn Community Services, and Ramon is my supervisor. And we're here for the information.
And David, I think you introduced yourself, but if you want to do it again to the whole group.
Sure. My name's David Schaefer. I'm here with Senator Prasad's office to gather information and be assistance, offer myself as a contact to anybody who might have a need for services through this office.
Beautiful. And I see Wilfredo is on the line. You want to introduce yourself, Wilfredo?
How everybody's doing. I'm Wilfredo Illa. I'm the director of Urban Farms, and we also support people in employment on our program.
Okay, so thank you. I think I'm so grateful that everyone joined today. I'm going to have the pleasure of, thanks to Jillian, kind of following up on trying to bring speakers into. We're working on, we heard you loud and clear during our first meeting about the importance of information sharing and kind of looking at employment from a holistic kind of way, and all the cross sections that employment can kind of interface with. So our first guest speaker this year, yay, is Aaron. And Aaron, I'm gonna let you do your spiel and take it away.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Aaron Shmueli. Some of you may know me already. I'm an assistant vice president at Goodwill Industries, and have been working in the field for many years, like Jillian, and I won't say how many. And I have the pleasure of talking today about a initiative that some of you may or may not have heard of, called the CSVT trainings. That's short for career specific vocational training. And there are, I believe, 7 of them throughout all of New York State. And the one that I'll be talking about is a collaboration between 2 agencies, AHRC as well as Goodwill Industries, my agency. And we have a third partner, which is NICED, that we all wrote this grant together that came out from OPWDD. And this, it's a 3-year, I'll give you a little bit of history on this. For those of you who may not know, these are all training grants. There's about a total of $18 million throughout a 3-year period to be distributed. And it fills a gap in the OPWDD services, which is we have many, many different allowable services in OPWDD and many allowable services in supported employment. But there is one service that is not allowable, and that is training. So you can't do specific trainings. You can place someone in a job and then do training on the job site, but you can't do training beforehand. And so to address this, OPWDD in New York State put together, they worked with the feds on getting federal money for these CSVT trainings. The one that we have here that I'm talking about is specifically for janitorial training. And we're in the 4th cycle of that. And it's geared for, and again, 2 more years of this. So there's going to be many, many more cycles. And it's geared for the first year anyway, was geared for just individuals who were unemployed in supported employment. That was the target. In the subsequent years, that is going to be expanded from opening that up not just to supported employment individuals, but also individuals who are also in day-hab and primarily pre-voc. Where individuals are really moving along that continuum and are ready to go into a training like this. And in a couple of minutes, I'll share my screen to go into some of the particulars. But I think it's important to really emphasize what the ideal candidate is for this, because that's one of the things that I found, that when we were going and talking to people, that there was a lot of just misunderstanding. And so I'll start with what it isn't. It is not an exploratory training. It's not to say, I don't really know what I would like to do. There's this training, the CSVT janitorial training. Maybe it's something I might like to do. That's not where we want to start. And I'll show you the questionnaire that, if anyone is interested, that gets filled out. But that's, I think, a really, really important point, is that these are, if wherever are most people familiar with what's called the discovery process? Obviously, people in supported employment are. But we have some people, Rachel, that is when you are going through one of the waivered services through OPWDD, there is a process called doing a discovery. And that's taking an individual and going to several different types of businesses with them and observing them and seeing how they interact with customers, how they're doing the job, whether they are showing up on time, are they eager to do it? Are they looking at their clock saying, I can't wait for this to be over? Those are all parts of what are considered a discovery process. And in a typical discovery, you are taking an individual in a program to different types of places. So you're taking them to like, as I said, if janitorial is something that is maybe something they wanted to do, you're taking them somewhere where they're going to really experience this on their skin for a couple of days and observe that. And then take them to something else, like working in a CVS, completely different environment. And you're trying to identify what environment this person likes, doesn't like, to find a direction for them to go in. So usually someone coming in to these CSVT trainings at some point in a waivered service, whichever that waivered service has some type of discovery that they've gone through, so that whoever is referring them can confidently say, yes, this person knows what this is about. They know what the janitorial service is about, and they can see themselves doing this as a career. And again, that's one of the things that all of the CSVT trainings are trying to emphasize, because think of this as a demonstration grant. OPWDD is hoping to have a lot of success with this, so that after this 3-year grant, hopefully this can become part of training down the road, and that there may either be more grants, or that they can change some of the Medicaid waiver rules so that training can be a service that gets paid for. So we really want to try to bring in, it's really incumbent upon all of us as professionals to identify people who are going to go into these trainings. And then shortly from that training, the idea is that they get placed. It's giving them a really a head start. And these are, let me give you the overview on the trainings. These are, at least for our training, and I'll be very specific now. I wanted to just give you some generalities, but let me talk specifically about the CSVT janitorial training that we're running. It is a 6-week training. It's 3 days a week. It's usually run on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you can see that this is something that you have to be committed to, and it's intensive. And there's both classroom learning, and then there's experiential learning. So you're learning how to, just for instance, what kind of cleaning products to use on different uh, types of furniture. We're also learning things like how to do stripping and waxing, and how to do a buffing machine. But more importantly, because of the intensity of this, they're actually doing this as part of the class. So it's simply not academic, but it's that someone's coming out with the skills necessary to go back into their waivered service, and that's usually supported employment. And they're identified, and they sort of should rise to the top of the placement list and hopefully get a job shortly after graduating the class. Questions so far? Okay, great.
Aaron, can you just clarify, after the training is done, do the individuals receive a certificate of completion, or what is the status after they're done with the class?
That's a good question. So this is our training. There is a certificate that you get, and it's an industry certificate. It's overseen by ISSA. And in the janitorial world, a certificate of completion that you've passed a test from ISSA is something that is recognized by employers. And if someone is hiring you in a janitorial capacity, they will recognize that certificate. And again, during this, there's another thing to emphasize here. You are never losing the person to your waiver program. In the beginning, there was a lot of apprehension about people referring people over and thinking that Goodwill Industries or AHRC was going to now take this person. We're just the trainers. That's all we are. The person always remains in your waivered service. And then when it's completed, it's the waiver service who is responsible for then placing that individual. So again, another just very simple but very important point that in the beginning got missed, and people were very nervous about that. Of course, and the other thing is you just can't bill while they're in training. It's a double dip, right? So you just can't bill while the person is there. Our trainings we're actually coming to the end of the cycle for year 1. And what we've done is we've split this up into different boroughs, because we know there's a lot of need for each borough. So we ran, the first training was run actually in Brooklyn. And then the second one was done in the Bronx. The third was done in Manhattan. And the fourth cycle that we're on right now is being done in Queens. When we start year 2, which actually starts July of 2024, that cycle will continue again. I don't know if it's going to be the same cycle. We might change it up a little bit. We're planning on actually sending out a questionnaire to stakeholders And I can always get your email and make sure that you're on these um, these email blasts that we put out, where we're going to be asking, where do you see having the most people that you might refer? Are they coming from supported employment? Would they come from your day programs? We want to get a sense from other agencies about where do they see their needs, so that we can hopefully tailor the trainings to those needs and to put them in the areas where the greatest needs are. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to share my screen for a moment, and I think it would be helpful to see if I can share here. Can the host? I've got to do screen sharing. Okay, I think I got
Yep,
it.
I got you.
Perfect. Okay. Check here. Okay, so this is, everyone can see my screen? So we have a listserv, and this is what we send out for any new trainings. And this is the form that we ask uh, the referring agent. This is usually filled out by the referring waiver agency. So your supported employment program, or as I said, next year, a DAHAB or a pre-voc program as well. And I'll just quickly go through this just so you can get a sense of what we're asking. This helps us to do proper pre-screening to ensure that the right people are coming into the program. So obviously the name of the agency, who's the person filling out this form, we'll get your basic information, the name of the individual that you're referring. If they're already enrolled in SEMP, we also want to make sure that we have a direct line to them. So if they have a cell phone, what their cell phone is. And then these are all questions that you would want to go over with the individual. You'd want to fill this out in the ideal world with the individual present and ask them, hey, is this person, can they commit to the 6 weeks of training, right? Have they expressed interest in doing janitorial cleaning as a vocational goal? Can they see themselves mopping floors? Can they see themselves vacuuming? This is probably the most important question. If you answer no to this, you probably don't want to go to the training, which is, can the person see themselves cleaning a bathroom or a toilet? No matter what, in a janitorial position, you're going to be asked to do this. And it's sort of, even when they come in and we're re-asking these questions, we have an experiential part where we'll have them clean a little bit. And if they don't want to do the bathroom, we know, unfortunately, this is just not this is not the vocation for them. So that's probably the most important question that's going to be on there. Another important question, this is a type of job that requires standing and moving about. So that, their ambulation, can they stand? Can they walk about for a shift? Can they lift assorted items, garbage bags, supplies, things of that nature? Usually you've got to be able to lift around 25, something weighing about 20, 25 pounds. If you've got a bucket, a slop bucket or something, you've got to be able to lift this, tilt it, things of that nature. We'll also asking if someone is allergic to anything, smells, cleaning products, where do they live? Once, do they see themselves working full or part-time after the training is completed? Again, an important one, if they're getting SSI or SSDI, this is something we also want to cover with them, and with families. When someone is receiving a cash benefit, that's always going to create a situation in the home or with the individual where there are incentives to go back to work, but we want to make sure that we're explaining that to the individual, that if they go back to work, they're going to get more money than just sitting home receiving their SSI check or their SSDI check. And the individuals that we're working with usually have SSI as the majority of individuals. So again, this is just a quick form. We get it, and it allows us to just stop the sharing. It allows us to then follow up with the individual as well as the referring agency. And then we'll make an appointment with them to see them in person. Questions so far? Let me
Aaron.
talk about the C.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At one point, I'm going to talk about the CCOs because we have
Okay.
Crystal here, because we do have some CCOs that have referred some individuals. So what we've been, I'll just, as an observations, and I expressed this to Julia and to Lynn Thibdu as well, that we got quite a number of referrals directly from CCOs, which is something we quite honestly weren't expecting. But it's worked out, and it's a direction that we're running with. But we're making sure that the messaging is a little bit clearer for the care manager, which is that the person has to be in a waivered service. So ultimately, there's lots of things that go on during this training that the care manager can't do. So we're just making sure that if a care manager is referring directly to us and we get an email or we get a referral from a care manager, that we immediately let them know that as long as the person can be in a waivered service by the time that the class starts, then it's fine. But they'd also want to loop in that organization. We can also, what we do is we'll give a list in advance to OPWDD, and they can help expedite the procedure with choices and enrollment. They fast track that enrollment into the waivered service, knowing that they're going into a CSVT training.
So that was my question, Aaron. I was going to ask you, who do you, in the process that you've done almost a year now, so the party that should help should be either the day provider or the residential? Like which one have you seen more success with in like kind of targeting?
Quite honestly,
candidates?
we haven't necessarily targeted the residential side. We've been with the target audience has been the supported employment waivered services, and we're going to be expanding that next year to include the DayHab and the Prevoke programs. But again, with those DayHab and Prevoke programs, it's again choosing someone who who's naturally sort of come to the point in that day service that they would have been thinking about referring them to ETP and supported employment, regardless of whether CSVT came up. I think that's the critical part, and we're going to be when we send out, we're going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus until July. So we're going to be working on messaging specifically for the DayHab and the day services. That looks a little bit different when they get an email about, hey, make sure that this is not exploratory. Make sure that this is something that they want to do, and that this person has the wherewithal to be in a job, a competitive job, within a couple of weeks or months of graduation. And if the answer is not yes to that from the waivered service, you want to rethink whether or not they're ready. You have to excuse me.
So my other question was, to make the referral, do we necessarily need to have someone who's already done the discovery or someone who has come to us with prior history of janitorial, but probably got downsized or COVID happened and
Sure.
now they need to repolish their skills?
I will channel after hearing Lynn and Julia from OPWDD. They would prefer if someone has a discovery, but they know that there's been challenges. They know that there have been people that have started discoveries. It got interrupted by COVID. Maybe they didn't pick it back up. I will give you my professional assessment about what the
Okay,
discovery
one
should look
second.
like.
Jaheda Marion's in the waiting room, I think.
I think I just admitted them. So some type of discovery, even if it is not a formal discovery, that in some way, shape, or form, you've been out there with the individual um, at a work site, not in your organization, not in an office, somewhere in your organization, that you've taken them off site. They've been in a real world situation, and you've observed them. And some of the other things that go along with supported employment as well. You've got to think about if they're in a day program, do they travel independently, right? Um, if they don't, do they have accessor rides set up, right? All of those things need to be in place for them to get a job. Um, so all of those other things play a role when you're making a decision about whether or not the person is appropriate for the CSVT training. Um, and we've had people that take accessory, or it's site to site travel to where the training is. So that's not a big deal. But then what comes afterwards, right? If someone really can't travel independently, and they're just putting in an application for Accessoride, it's going to take months. So things like that really should be in place before a referral like that happens.
Okay. Anyone has more questions, or should Aaron continue?
What I'd love to do is I'd love to just make sure, I guess, afterwards, if I can add you to a listserv that we use that always goes out. So if you want to maybe type or provide your email addresses, I can make sure that you're added to those lists. So you'll get all of the blasts that go out there with the links to the referral process, and any other information sessions that we might hold for the new year, for the new cycles.
Aaron, this is not, I love this program. I was so excited about it that I referred a client, but I guess I didn't read it correctly. My client is employed. So he went for the interview and all that, and they're like, wait a minute, he's employed. So I
And he
was like,
couldn't, I
oh,
think I remember, yeah, I think I had
yeah,
one of my staff talked about
right.
that.
So I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
because he wants to brush up on his skills, but he was informed that he's way beyond the training. Like he's been doing very well. So, but
Yeah.
this is excellent. I mean, I think so I oversee supportive employment, and all our individuals are working. So it benefits somebody that's like doing ETP, or somebody
Correct.
that loses their job.
Lose a job, they want a different type of job, or maybe they're underemployed, right? So maybe they're doing, we have someone who may be doing, I'll call it janitorial light, right? So they may have a janitorial position, and they're emptying waste paper baskets. Maybe they're doing some vacuuming, but they don't have the hard skills like doing stripping and waxing and buffing. That may be a case where someone who has a job and is looking to get either a promotion or get a different job, um, making more money because they have a different set of janitorial skills, a higher level of janitorial skills. That may be a case where someone who's working can come in, and of course, can they, it can't interfere with their work, right? Or they've got to change their work schedule. So there are some exceptions, but it was originally geared for people that were unemployed. But there are exceptions to that. It's not a hard rule from OPWDD or the grant.
Aaron, do you know if OPWDD is exploring other types of employment for future grants beyond janitorial work? Because as you know, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everyone, exactly. And so in the New York City region, it's only janitorial. So each of the regions, when we had to decide on um, a single profession, right? So we went with janitorial. And there was only just because of the size of the grant and that it was in different regions. So each region has their own specific. So I know there's another janitorial, for instance, in another region in New York State. And then, but that would be something that at the end of the 3-year grant, if if OPWDD can show success on this, that and acquire more funding, there could be more types of trainings in the same region. But yeah, everyone says that's like it's only janitorial for the New York City region.
Yeah, I heard that there's also one upstate about culinary and
Yep.
horticulture and hotel. What is it called?
Hotel.
Yeah.
Not hotel management, but I think it's so I yeah, I'm blanking out on the specific aspect.
I think
But
it's
yeah, they're partnering
hospitality.
with hotels. Say it again.
I want to say it was hospitality. I think some hospitality.
Yeah, I think it was like housekeeping, those types of things. There's a website that OPWDD has with all of the different trainings and the different regions. So
Aaron, if you want to share it with us, we could always ask to put it on our page. So like that.
absolutely, I'm going. I will absolutely get you that. I'll follow up and get you that link. I
And
was just
even
on.
a link, yeah, and even a link to the specific program you're talking about right on our page. I think it would be beneficial because once people
Sure,
hear the recording, I think we might get some excitement and
absolutely.
interest.
Aaron, besides the certificate, I'm sorry, Rochelle. Are there any other incentives in participating to the program and to the training
Yeah,
program?
that's a good. Thank you, Julian. That's another good thing. We know this is very intense, and so there's a stipend. There's a $50 stipend per week that each person receives coming to the training, and that helps offset things. They're there all day, so that helps to offset any travel costs. Plus, if they need to purchase food, things of that nature. And we try to administer that like a job. So it's given usually like weekly to them. And if they didn't show up for a day, they might not get the full 50. And it's again trying to impart that it's like this is how the real world works. Um, and you can't be absent more than 1 or 2 times. And we try to do makeup classes. Um, it's just part of the whole curriculum. So that's why it's very important where we go into detail about are you or is your family planning on going on vacation during this period of time, this 6-week training? If you are, you know, can you move that around? Or are they going to just go with you? Do you have someone to stay with? Um, these things unfortunately come up, and we need to ask them in advance. Um, and that's why we have such a intense screening to make sure that the people that come in wind up completing the classes.
I was just wondering, do you have any data on whether any of the participants actually secured paid employment after the program?
Yeah, we have approximately to date, we've had about 35 individuals graduate. And some of the individuals I can tell you from my program. So I know we've placed people. I don't have the exact statistic. That's something that at the end of end of year one, we're going to put all the statistics together. In fact, that's the type of statistic that is going to be provided to the feds, right? So that's what OPWDD is very keen about. There's a quarterly report where we're trying to obtain information from any referring agency about placement. It's the responsibility of just to this doesn't have to do with referring, but just once you've referred someone, there'll be contact with us on a longitudinal basis because we're trying to track for the purposes of the grant and to provide for OPWDD whether or not someone gets a job, how much are they making, how long are they staying on that job, did they lose the job? So it's trying to capture all that data and provide at the end a 3-year overview of this. So yes, the short answer is people have in place, and I can tell you that our job developers are when someone comes out of the training. First of all, the person is um, they're very motivated, right? They've gone through this intensive 6-week training, so this is just like they're just like, yeah, I want a job now. So sometimes motivation is a factor. If you've been sitting at home for a while, the last job you had in supported employment was pre-pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. So that just that alone helps. But then the added skill sets and the fact that there's a certificate at the end of it that's recognized in the industry allows your job developers or your employment specialists, whichever staff person that you have that's spearheading placement for that individual and assisting, this is very powerful. And this person naturally rises to the top of their placement list.
That sounds exciting.
It's something that is said it's been for years there's never has been a training. The training has always been as per the model of supported employment is you place and then train. That is the model of supported employment. This is why it's different. This is why a different funding stream, it was necessary to secure a different funding stream to invert that and say training first and then placement.
It almost feels like you created your own little apex training school, kind of,
Yeah.
vocational kind of things they used to have. Yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely want to get the word out, right? I can give you some anecdotal things about. uh, In the beginning, it was a little slow, and that agencies, um, we're trying to make sure that agencies realize that this is such a powerful tool available to them, and it's not for us, it's not for the grant holders. It's for everyone. It's for every single provider throughout the state. Um, and whenever I have the opportunity, I say if they're not taking advantage of it, so this is something that's been asked for a long time from a number of providers. Now that it's here, if providers aren't referring people, and if they look at just the N number, like how many different agencies took advantage of this, and that N number is very small, that's going to weigh in on whether or not OPWDD tries to secure more money at the end of the 3 years. So it's really incumbent upon all of us to try to partake of this.
Okay. So Aaron will send us his information. I'm so grateful. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I am we will definitely invite you back once Jillian and I have managed to grow this committee meeting to 100 deep, because that's our goal. Um and really present the program, because I think it's a great opportunity, and it really is a different approach, and we're always talking about looking at different approaches to employment. So I think there's something there.
Thank you for having me. And at any time, if you want me to do this again, I can certainly, in another audience in a month or two from now, provide another round of this. And I'll also there's a email address. If anyone has follow-up questions, I'll provide it. If you just have some general questions, not referrals, but just general questions, I have a dedicated staff person who answers that, who helps with recruitment and can answer your specific questions. And pass the word around to everyone else too.
Oh,
Your
Marion, go ahead.
colleagues.
Well, I just wanted to point out that it's been said many times that that they're our young people, their worst challenge is their parents. Because very, very often the job won't be good enough, they can't travel, and I should be able to take them, let them skip work anytime they want. And they don't take the path of getting a job the same way they would with typical children or young adults. Traveling is terrifying for parents, and maybe not so much for the individuals that want to do these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. There are a lot of people who have a lot of fears about their sons
They,
and daughters. Yeah.
but I will say that I am not one of them.
It's good.
My son travels on the train and on the bus, and mostly so far so good. We've had difficulties,
Good.
but people are just so afraid
Yep, we
to.
try. I think everyone in this field tries to, all the professionals in the field try to um, really expand someone's horizons, right? And that's really what it's about. I always say the most important thing that we can do for the individuals we serve is to have them be as independent as possible. That's the goal on all
Yes.
levels, their work, their social life, everything that they do. You know, that's, I think, the goal for see growth.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Aaron, if you wouldn't mind making me the host back again, please.
Oh, sure. Let's see. How do I kill myself as the host? Do I put multiple? Now, I've had people make me the host, but I don't think I've ever given it back. Once you
Oh,
get power, you can't give it back. I'm trying to see the setting to make you the host again.
So hold on. Yeah, I can't make myself the host. It's okay. Just don't hang up.
I'm seeing the option for my screen share where it says one participant can share at a time or multiple can share simultaneously. So I picked that, but
So if you
I
go
don't.
into participant and you
Okay.
see Jahida Gonzalez, you would click on my name and then make me the host.
Okay, let me do that.
Thank you. So while Aaron makes me the host again, the only other item that we had, oh, thank you, yay! I
There
could
you go.
stop recording. Let's see. Of course, there we go. Okay, great. Aaron, thank you so much. This was amazing. I think we got a lot of good information. Yeah, hopefully we'll help to enroll a bunch of people and get people really out there working and kind of have that really nice, robust employment first kind of mentality and philosophy in our field. So the only other thing, we have a couple of minutes before our meeting is scheduled to end. The only thing, I thought we would have more providers on, like we did last time, our first meeting. We wanted to discuss how people were feeling about the Sempe DM, but considering that most of us are, we have a mixed bag, which is amazing, which is great. I think we could skip that and maybe the next meeting, depending on the audience, we could reintroduce the topic. But are there any announcements or anyone who wants to make an announcement before we adjourn our meeting, or anyone, found anything interesting or want to bring anything to Jillian and mine's attention of what you would like to see in the future?
I'd just like to apologize for being late. I'm sorry about that, but I will be on time next time. When
I'm sorry. Go ahead. So, I just wanna say we have openings, if that's something that I could present, at Brooklyn Community Services for the ETP program. Also, it's not an OPWD program, but it's under Department of Health, a supportive work readiness program. And, I could share the flyer with you and you could distribute it. We have openings, and it's basically individuals with developmental disabilities that have not been linked up with a CCO, and they're in the midst and they don't know what to do. So the supportive work readiness programs provides them with a lot of work skills, mostly group individual counseling until they're geared and enrolled with OPWD. So,
Yes, send it our way.
okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. Anyone
Ramona,
else?
Ramona,
Go ahead.
quick question. Does that program assist the individual to get waiver enrolled or no?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, they do?
We connect them with a care coordinating agency, and, and we take it from there. We usually, we ask the individual which one they would like to apply to, and depending on the openings of either care design, ACA, or tri-county, that's the route we go. Yeah.
I had a question.
Go for it.
So Ramona and Kim work for Brooklyn Community Services?
Yes.
Is that the name? Okay, and do you have contact information? Maybe you could put in the chat in case we have people to refer your way. I'm assuming that, I mean, I did really appreciate the presentation, but from my perspective, if I'm gonna if I get an inquiry